I look forward to exploring Alfheim and not having to fight elves.
Oh? What makes you think that's an option?
They've united, haven't they? What possible reason would they have to attack us?
Sorry to say, but there are still plenty of elves out in the Barrens eager for conflict.
But why? Freyr united them. They fought together at Ragnarok.
Those who have spent their lives in combat, peace is not always an option.
Wait a bloody moment. Is that...
Thor's hammer, and his daughter.
I'll make you proud, Dad.
Well, good for her.
Let me get my fortune hammer. Feels half crazy to say. But I've got a good feeling about that Thrud girl. Never minding what family she came from.
I quite agree. She's an impressive young woman.
I thought you might. Why, I ain't never seen anyone quite so awestruck as when she laid eyes on you back at the hole. Like meeting her idol.
She was apparently quite eager to learn from... all the Valkyries. Now that she has Mjolnir, I expect her next stop will be to begin training with Sigrun.
I think Brock and Sindri would be happy knowing that hammer's finally with someone worthy to wield it. And a future Valkyrie, no less.
Gulon in Alfheim?
And sled trained by the looks of it. Most unusual.
I've never seen such obedience in Gulon. There is some kind of magic at work here.
Regardless, it should make desert travel downright pleasant. Not for a brutal sandstorm. Any particular direction to find your wounded animal? Or are we just enjoying the weather?
How do you hope to find anything in all this?
Perhaps we find a cave first to catch our bearings?
There! Perhaps the injured animal is inside.
Whatever's inside is kicking up quite a bit of sand.
How do we reach it?
There's caves and tunnels aplenty out here. Let's find one and see where it takes us.
Incoming back here!
Take it off, man! You've got this! Impressive!
A horn. Look here.
What's that?
A diagram for a sword hilt.
Perhaps we should show it to one of the dwarves. They'll know what to do with it. Left flank! Behind you! Incoming! Left side, brother! Brother, that groom's found a perch on high! Behind you, watch out! Brother, the wee bastard's about to explode!
These runes.
Ever written poetry of your own, brother?
No.
Well, ask a stupid question.
I don't see a way past this gate. Not while the storm rages. An entrance to the caves!
This cave extends underneath the desert.
Aye. A refuge for the Dark Elves, by the looks of it. One of the few remaining now that they're barred from the temple. Perhaps we'll find Atreus' wounded animal down here.
Lead the way, Kratos. I trust you to not get us lost underground. These poor elves, blinded by hate, lashing out at everything and everyone for their fate.
They will not listen to reason. Combat is unavoidable.
Oh, trust me, I know. Still, I wish it were not the case.
Depends on the reader.
This creature Atreus heard, why wait until now to free him?
It was not a priority.
We were too busy attempting to stave off Ragnarok to indulge in any desert dalliances.
Shame. I imagine Atreus would have enjoyed a quest to free an injured man.
Yes, he would have.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to twist the knife.
You did not. Atreus has chosen his path. I trust him to be safe.
Skillfuck!
I wish I had your confidence with my own son when he was Atreus' age. Baldur craved adventure, but with the words of the Norns repeating in my head.
Your worry consumed you, as my rage once did to me.
You overcame it, eventually.
Thanks to Atreus. And his mother.
Yes.
Enemy behind you, Kratos!
Behind you! Watch out! Behind you! Look out!
Behind you! Look out!
Atreus reminds me more of Freyr in his youth than of Baldur. His sensitivity, his compulsion to help any and all in need.
That is his mother's influence. Despite all attempts to train him otherwise, Atreus was eager to help lost spirits or run errands for the dwarves during our travels together.
Faye's influence runs deeper than that. Why do you think you're the one assaulting a cave full of hostile dark elves to save a wounded creature?
Right flank!
See that explosive? Setting it off.
Excursions like this once served as training for Atreus, or an excuse to gather resources while testing his abilities. But I made him a promise. His voice as my guide.
And his voice told you to come out here?
He would approve. Strange, that means more to me now than it did before he left.
You've said it yourself. Atreus takes after his mother. His approval is her approval.
Nightmare on the left!
A Hofgufa. I haven't seen one since I was a child.
Great Gefjun's ghost! That's the largest bloody half-goof I've ever laid eyes on.
That howling sounds familiar.
It's the Song of the Sands. We don't normally sing like this underground.
That must be the cause of the storm.
Aye. Judging by all this hive matter weighing it down, It's been trapped here for dozens of winters.
There must be a way to cut it loose.
I'd wager that there's nothing here a well-placed throw of the axe can't solve.
If we can clear those rocks away, we might get the right angle. That helped. We've cut it loose, but it can't seem to escape.
Much of the hive matter is gone. We can free it from the surface now.
How in the realms did they capture such a large one?
Halfgriffers are known to burrow, so I'd hesitate to place full blame on our dark elf friends.
Even though it's bound by their hive?
Hive matter doesn't belong to the dark elves, any more than the light belongs to the light elves. It's just another of Alfheim's natural resources. One the elves have used since the time of their ancestors. And while the light elves seem keen to banish the hive over on their side, the dark elves make effective use of it out here in the Barren.
But if this is true, are we doing more harm than good by destroying this hive?
You wish to leave the creature enslaved?
No. Freyr would have wanted us to do everything in our power to restore this realm. We will free it.
Here! You should be able to cut this part away and free the half-goofa!
Never imagined I'd see a half-goofa fly again. Can't believe the lad missed this.
The storm is gone. The song of the sands has returned to Alfheim, albeit somewhat diminished from how I remember it as a child.
Atreus will be glad to hear it is no longer in pain.
You look forward to telling him.
One day. Yes.
You gave him a gift, allowing him to walk his own path. I know that wasn't easy.
I know you cared for him as well. You have always done right by Atreus.
He is the best of us.
Well, nice to be able to have a real conversation out here for once. Freya, I've always wondered, why was Freyr so revered here so quickly upon his first arrival?
Well, to begin with, it wasn't his first arrival. Very few know this, but Freyr was one of the earliest visitors to Alfheim, back in the dawn of realm travel.
Oh, a bit before my time. Do tell.
We believed for a long time that all the giants had died in the flood, until one of them appeared in Vanaheim.
Set that aside for now. Come.
Die Anfieger.
Kratos, are you okay?
Careful, brother. You're covered in Bifrost. I just had a thought. With Asgard destroyed, where will the Einherjar go?
Valhalla exists both inside and outside of Asgard. Who knows what became of it?
Aye. Suppose they'll have to find rest somewhere. Freya, do you mind picking up that story about your brother? I think you said a giant had appeared in Vanaheim.
That's right. Her name was Gerd, and she came offering to teach us the secrets of traveling between realms using Bifrost light. Freyr became immediately infatuated with her. He always yearned to wander, and along came someone who could truly show him how. So, wander they did, exploring the world tree from root to branch. But one day, it came time for Gerd to wander away. Freyr was heartbroken, and resolved himself to perform some great feat to win her back. He set his aim on the grandest of gestures. He intended to be the first to find the elusive source of Bifrost light. And he succeeded, although quite by accident. Freyr believed he navigated best while fortified by a potent blend of Vanir herbs. When he wandered, he wandered. And he managed to wander from the World Tree directly into the Lake of Souls. The elves have never seen anybody come out of the lake before, so it got some attention.
Oh, that is bloody hilarious.
I don't know whether he worked his charms at that point or they just assumed him to be a great deity. But of course, he hadn't made this journey in search of responsibility, so he didn't stick around long. Still, the legend of his manifestation was passed along through the ages. It even endured after the Great Division, remembered by Light and Dark Elf alike. So when at last he returned, he was uniquely situated to gain the trust of both sides and help to create a truce. The problem was, both sides trusted only him. So the peace could only last as long as he stayed around to keep it. And with the long war dragging on without an end in sight, I suppose making any kind of peace was an irresistible notion for him. Even if it meant having to rule.
Sort of a harp. I can play beautifully, you know.
I do not, and would prefer it remain that way.
Something else I recall about that Greek player mentioned, if you won't take offence to the critique. As a work of performance, it consisted almost entirely of watching people give speeches and receive terrible news. Might have been nice to see more events dramatised instead of described.
It is Greek tradition for a story to unfold in a single time and place uninterrupted. It is more clear.
If you say so. More bloody dropper. You're on fire, Kratos!
Kratos!
More bloody dropper.
Enemy behind you, Kratos!
You're on fire, Kratos! It will pass! Ragnarok.
Whatever.
Reminds me of tales of a cruel empress, one too angry to die.
We will see.
Much of the sand has been cleared away, but another storm rages beyond that pass, which must mean...
Another half-goofa.
odd. It looks as though the Light Elves sealed off this section of the Barrens. Why?
Luckily for us, a very considerate goddess has enhanced our magic chisel, and we can unseal it.
My, that is lucky.
The Forbidden Sands lay beyond.
Contested territory, according to Bela, and another storm to endure.
I remember when Freyr and I traveled to this realm as children. The desert was healthy and full of life back then. I can't help but fear that era has ended for good and our efforts here are futile.
But I have to believe, in the long run, we're doing right by Alfheim. Well, best we start looking for a way underground.
Keep a lookout for a cave! I see an entrance!
Freyr never saw how poorly these lands fared in his absence, did he? He would appreciate our efforts out here.
Aye. Hearing the Song of the Sands again is a rare privilege, even if it's only a solo act.
For a duet, once this Hofgufa is free. This architecture. It is not of the Dark Age.
An abandoned ancient settlement by the looks of it. Built long before the Lightwell's creation.
More hive matter as well.
I'd say we're on the right track then.
This kind of hive material is sensitive to smell. How odd. When I last came here with you and Atreus, I assumed the absence of Alpha's life was an aberration. I didn't realize it was covered by hive matter.
Aye. And as far as the Dark Elves are concerned, it's that light column in the center of the temple that's the aberration. Just look at how old some of these surfaces are. Far older than the Lightwell, or even our trapped Hafgifa for that matter.
That's quite the empathetic perspective, Mimir.
Well, dangle from a burly god's backside for a few winters, and you'll find yourself looking for all sorts of new perspectives.
More hive, but denser. Well, there you go.
Another wretch! To the left!
Enemies to your left! Up above! Poison! Down!
Light elves? don't often travel underneath the Barrens, do they?
Territory changes hands often in Alfheim. Or so it appears.
Big Veer did mention that these ruins have historical significance for the Light Elves. I assume they're only here to keep intruders out.
Well, at least they tried.
I suspect the corpse below would disagree. Good eye. Let's continue, shall we? Behind you! Look out! Enemy, left flank! Watch your right!
I hope freeing these Hofgufas will allow them to breed again. It's a dazzling display once. The skies of Alfheim filled with their song.
I imagine it's the lack of fresh light that's caused this pair to grow abnormally large. No use in having babies if there's nothing for them to feed on.
Trying to protect their children from a harsh world. I can relate. wonder if these two comprehend the choice they face once freed.
What choice do you speak of?
The life cycle of the Hofgufa. In order to breed, they must pass on their light to their children.
And without light, they will die.
I suppose that's all any of us can hope for in the end. That our death has purpose. That we can live on through our children. Well, given another chance, I know what choice I would make. Good. Almost there. Well done. Time to set it loose.
Aye. Back to the surface then. Watch your left!
Behind you! Watch out!
The pipe.
Used in many of Freyr's blessings, I imagine.
The fate of these creatures reminds me of a story.
Does it?
There once was a blacksmith whose king commanded him to construct a box that could contain all the evils of the world. But no metal could hold such power. So the blacksmith used the flame of...
Kratos, is this a story meant to ease my grief?
Perhaps it is just a story. A way to pass the time.
I appreciate the sentiment, but... well, your stories...
About my stories.
I wouldn't exactly call them a comfort.
Fair. Mimir is the better storyteller.
Now don't sell yourself short, brother. You've come a long way from the days of laconic fables.
It's okay. Finish your story, Kratos.
The blacksmith's daughter was the key to unlocking the box. She died trying to protect her from those who would open it.
Well, at least it's a relatable story.
It appears we've overstayed our welcome in Alfheim. Again.
The Alpha!
Time to end this storm.
Stories are of no comfort. Take solace in knowing you did what you thought was best for your son's safety. Even these creatures know. There is little choice for a parent. You are not alone.
I'm not, am I? And now neither are they.
The Song of the Sands. Well, didn't know I could get misty. It's beautiful.
Thank you, Kratos. This land sings once more. We've done good here.
No rush to leave yet, is there? Who knows what kind of adventures await us in a freshly lit Barrens?
A light elf statue in the desert. Odd.
On top of ancient elven ruins? I'd have to agree.
Jewelry.
Oh? Put it on one of my horns. Let's see if I can pull it off.
No.
Archive of knowledge.
No sign of the light.
For now.
Maybe they've left for the day, and we can browse at our leisure.
Yeah. These texts alone are not enough to end the Elven War, but restricting their access only serves those who wish to prolong it.
Taking a page out of Odin's book.
Aye. Quite the advantage for the Light Elves.
This book is sealed, but there is an inscription. The console.
Big Deer spoke of an exile of the same name. Odds are he'd like a gander at that particular text.
All this knowledge of their ancestors. Their shared history, poetry. Just sitting here. What a waste.
Ah, It appears the librarian would like a word.
Lata Frambok.
Sounds like she wants that journal back.
No.
Shield strike!
Come on, get up, brother!
Yosalfa. Thought. Megivita. Haugabrotino.
She thinks she's protecting them by hiding all this knowledge away.
The elves do not need protection from their history. They need access. A new chapter awaits.
I'm impressed. Thought you were going to end her.
When last we traveled here, after Faye passed, I killed an elf of great importance. The ramifications were dire for his people. I do not wish to make the same mistake twice.
Light please. An entire mausoleum.
They killed their own to protect their secrets.
That's harsh.
Yes, but with this secret exposed, perhaps old wounds can begin to heal.
Brother, I've been meaning to ask. Your homeland. I'd heard the gods there wielded every flavor of power you could imagine. Lightning, fire, the whole lot.
As did I, for many years.
Whoa. Any chance you could recall some of that magic?
No, I have tried.
Magic is bound to the earth. When your homeland died, your powers probably went with it.
Well, probably for the best. Let the past stay in the past and all that.
Brother! Get up, brother!
Find you!
We are
Behind you! Incoming!
Light elf architecture. It's massive.
A token.
A badge of honor. The elves made a few of these. They'd hang them up outside their dwellings. Show their support for my brother. That's all my brother's tributes.
Do you prefer we hang on to them?
Do what you will. If Freyr didn't bother taking them anywhere possible, he wouldn't mind us selling them.
From behind! Incoming! The Alpha!
Mimir, I never asked how it felt to lose your head.
What would you have me say? That it tickled?
Merely curious.
If you wish to derive some satisfaction from my pain, I'm afraid you'll be disappointed. Kratos swung swift and true, didn't you, brother? I felt nary a scratch.
Shame.
Freya. Here.
A dawn bloom.
Another sleeping troll, courtesy of the dwarves. It's about waking the trolls with the relic. Well, we already figured that out for ourselves, didn't we? don't think that relic's gonna wake it up, I'm afraid. Expertly done, as usual.
Another carving from Yari and Somer.
There's probably another ingredient around here, brother.
It is an ingredient from the recipe. How did they reach this realm?
Oh, they were well versed in realm travel. You see, Yari was raised a Midgardian warrior. Meant to fight in the family's wars, find a wife, die for glory. But he rejected it. He left.
He followed his own path.
I wouldn't be surprised if we found their mark in other realms as well.
Do you regret it, Mimir?
Most likely. What are we talking about in particular?
Giving up your body?
I regret exchanging my life for my freedom? That's a question I ask myself every day, my lady.
What about today?
Today? Glad to be out in the world. How else could I spend such quality time with you?
Okay, okay.
Another Berserker gravestone.
Right side!
When Hildisvini went to Helheim, how did he not freeze to death?
A perk of the Jofer.
The boar-shifting warriors of Vanaheim, as wise in statecraft as they are deadly on the battlefield.
So they may shift into whatever form they like.
Sure, so long as the only two shapes they'd like to shift into are human and boar.
The monument to Freyr. I wonder if he ever saw this.
That's odd. The runes are dark.
I'm grateful to see Freyr remembered this way. But what purpose does all this serve?
Difficult to say without an inscription. But it looks like the elves built this place together, light and dark. Which means this would have been their first act of cooperation in generations. A far cry from lasting peace, but perhaps it served as a monument. One that symbolizes the potential for peace.
This statue may have survived Freya's absence, but a truce clearly did not. Monuments are useless to those who ignore their message.
He didn't create a truce through diplomacy alone. His godhood, his very presence is what healed this land and allowed peace to take root. But once he left, he had to have known what would happen.
Well, he had good reason to leave. Some jackass convinced his sister to marry a madman.
said monuments are useless. Why restore this one?
It was hidden for some time. Perhaps now it can serve as a reminder.
Aye. Nothing reminds people of their history like chiseled, well-lit marble.
These crystals contain their own light.
You're right. Normally we'd have to provide our own. Perhaps slotting a crystal on the opposite side could shed some light on this mystery.
Ugh. That did something. The ring of crystal shards, well.
Looks like we can read the inscription now
Like
as
from the
well.
crystals. It is in the sand now.
Would you look at that? Freyr's gift endures after all. Or should I say, his presence?
You are not funny.
Learn anything?
Even when Freyr was actually here, the peace was fragile. Surely a bit of extra light in the desert isn't enough to make it last.
Before I met Faye, I could not imagine a life of peace. After her death, in our travels to Jotunheim, I found peace on my own. It remains my responsibility to make it last.
I only hope his guidance will last this time.
We will see. But he has given them a chance.
Perhaps we can bring these two animals back to Vanaheim, or Midgard even. Becky and Svanna could use the company. We have kennels.
It would not go well for them. Once a predator becomes accustomed to a land, it is cruel to move them.
I suppose you're right. Just seems lonely out here.
It is peaceful. They have each other. It is enough.
You know, Freyr loved to breed Gulan pups in Vanaheim. I wonder if these two are the descendants of the Gulan he brought here long ago.
That explains how they got to the desert. Another gift for the Dark Elves. Ah, another of Kvasir's poems. On your right!
It's vulnerable when it
Close
goes!
in! Attack!
The Alpha!
Give yourself an opening! Don't waste it!
Bring them down!
Close in! Attack!
Kratos, tell me of an adversary from your homeland. It will serve us well if I understand more of your battle tactics.
There was Medusa, queen of the Gorgons. Her gaze turned men to stone. A mirror would turn her own powers against her. Or, you may remove her head, but that is the hard way.
Which did you choose?
The hard way.
Forget I asked. Something is coming, and it's not happy.
Nasty hit! You alright, brother?
It's about to charge! What on earth was a drake doing back there?
Your guess is as good as mine. Imprisoning a drake. Can't decide whether to be impressed or horrified.
Either way, it is over now.
I wonder, how'd these two pups end up yoked to the sled?
Ever try flying in a sandstorm? I imagine Freyr showed the Dark Elves that Gulon could be trained to pull a plow. They must have found new uses for them once the sandstorm arrived. I imagine they're now bred to aid in traveling the surface.
Freya, you once revived a giant's corpse to stop a certain fight we won't talk about. Could you call on that power again?
Maybe. Do you have a massive giant's corpse for me to revive?
No?
Well, there you go.
Y'all still looking for the orb?
Appreciate it.
All this for little old me? Oh, that's a lot of good stuff.
Can this lock be opened without damaging the book? The elves in Freya's camp wish to read it.
Now, why would anyone go and lock a book? Seems silly to ask me. I'm sure I can crack it open for you and get it over to Biggs and Bay. Let me get my fortune hammer. You'll be back.